Hi guys, welcome to the second episode of our look at Marvel Comics published in South Africa. Today we're looking at issue 2, Wolverine vs. Deadpool. Deadpool is on the hunt for another survivor of the Weapon X project, Kane. Will Wolverine be able to save Kane and his girlfriend from the annoying man in red, or will Deadpool have the last laugh? Let's find out in today's HTP Storytime. We are back with the second issue of the South African release of Wolverine. If you found this in America, it would be Wolverine number 88. We get a great cover here. I'd never heard of Deadpool. This was my first time seeing him in 1995, and then I never heard from him again until the Ryan Reynolds movie. Actually, I think I did see him somewhere else. One second. Yes, in this Avengers special issue. This was where I saw Deadpool for the second time as a kid. This cover implied some violent action, so I was pretty hyped with this book when it came out. That's a pretty brutal cover. First things first though, ad watch. We have some new ads this issue. We have the same Edgar's and Willard's ads from issue 1 on the inside and the back cover. But we also get a new snack chip brand here, Simba, on the inside. And they have a whole marketing program here with some kind of competition running. We learn that Meteor Press is also publishing Beetle Bailey comics. Really going all in on their licenses here is Meteor Press. We also get another new ad for the Lego Aquazone playset. Look at that. Continuing the train of new things, we also get a guest artist this month, Fabio Laguna, helping out the usual artist Adam Kubert. So I was looking up Fabio Laguna for this episode and I couldn't really find like an artist's profile or something on him. What I did find was this Twitter post and this CBR article. Turns out Fabio is a bit of a copycat. Now I take my hat off to anyone who could copy another artist's work in a time before like the major digital age, but the problem is Fabio chose to copy the work of one of the most celebrated, well-known artists of the 90s, Jim Lee. And I mean, in this issue we're looking at today, the artist duties are shared between him and Adam Kubert, with each one doing half of the comic. So here's Adam's sketch of Deadpool from this very issue. And here is Fabio's sketch of Logan from the very next issue. I mean, this guy's not even trying to hide him copying other people's work, literally stealing from the artist he just worked with. Anyway, we will chat more about his art style and transgressions as this and the next episode continues. In the last comic, Wolverine realized he needs to head back to Salem in the X-Men's mansion. He has finally accepted that he wants to come home and stop running from his responsibilities. On his way back, he stops by in San Francisco to check up on a character called Kane, who was another member of the Weapon X project that created Wolverine. And as readers at the time, we had no further info than that. At the time, all I knew about Kane was I had this trading card of him. When Logan gets to Kane's apartment, he finds someone else already there waiting for him. And it's Deadpool, folks. This was my first introduction to the character, and it was not a positive experience to a young Wolverine fan, as we'll see in a second. A great fight ensues here, with a few one-liners dropped from Wolverine and Deadpool, with Wolverine here saying, "You have some lip, bub. It'll be a shame if somebody slices it off." It looks like Wolverine is going to win, but Deadpool points out that just like Wolverine, he too has a healing factor, except his is working just fine, rubbing it in that Wolverine is still recovering from having his adamantium ripped out by Magneto. And we get a core memory coming up for me here. Wolverine attacks Deadpool, who was just playing possum so that it could stab him in the lungs. Man, it was a big deal for a kid seeing Wolverine get one-upped by this goofball. We learn that Deadpool is also looking for Kane as he notices a clue on the wall. It seems Kane is a member of a local theater troupe. The theater is called the Grand Guignol. This is a reference to an actual French theater that closed down in 1962. It specialized in basically the theatrical version of slasher movies, with an emphasis on the special effects during the climatic scenes of murder, like sprays of blood when a person gets stabbed. Next we cut to Kane on stage at said theater. He's training to be an actor with his partner Vanessa. He's not very good at it, and Vanessa tells him to not try to act, but rather to draw from his real-life emotions and just feel them on stage. This scene is also in reference to what the real Grand Guignol theatre represented, which was a more natural acting style from performers, rather than the dramatic emoting popular throughout the theatre's existence. We also get this direct reference to the Guignol horror acts, with this actress stabbed all over and covered in tomato sauce for the blood effect. Vanessa finally gets a real reaction from Kane when Deadpool shows up. Just as an aside, we get a great joke from the director here. "Look kiddies, I'm going out for coffee and Henway. You work out your motivations and be ready to work when I get back. Let's all get some coffee." "Hey, what's a Henway?" "About £2. We cut back to Wolverine and we learn that his healing factor is actually still working, just not perfectly, but good enough. He becomes closely acquainted with the same clue Deadpool saw earlier. He throws on a kimono and heads out to find a cab. The driver sees the state Logan is in and asks, "The hospital or the Grand Guignol?" And Logan says, "The Grand Guignol, baby." Cut back to Deadpool and his friends, and we kind of get a reason why Deadpool is after Kane in the first place. Apparently Kane stole Deadpool's girl. Now I don't know if this is true or not, but Vanessa doesn't need to be asked twice to step in and make her presence known. Back in the cab with Wolverine racing to save the day, we get a few more quips from the cab driver. "You know, I'm a thespian myself. Hey, you got your proclivities and I got mine, bub. A thespian is an actor?" I think the writers have gone a bit loopy from writing Deadpool's cheesy dialogue. Logan checks how well his face has healed by ripping the cab driver's rear view mirror off. That is not cool, dude. But payback is a bitch, as the cab driver claims his brakes have stopped working while they're riding on the hills of San Francisco. I think he just wants to put the fear of God in Logan after he ripped his goddamn rear view mirror off. But the mind games clearly don't work, as Wolverine just rips off the cab door and rides it down the road like a surfboard. We get an inexplicable series of panels here, thanks to artist Fabio Laguna. I can't figure out what sequence of events they're trying to depict here. Deadpool has Kane and Vanessa knocked down and he puts them in a bit of a catch-22 situation. Deadpool strikes at Kane's head with one of his swords, while tossing the other at Vanessa. But from how the panels are set up, it's not really much of a choice for Kane for who he's going to save unless he learns how to teleport. Fortunately, Wolverine teleports using his cab door surfboard all the way from the sidewalk into the theatre. He shows up in the nick of time to save the day. Although, instead of catching the sword or deflecting it with his claws, he just sticks his arm out and kind of absorbs the shot like an overzealous pincushion. Another series of inexplicable panels from Fabio here. I have no idea what's happening. The heroes confront Deadpool and he escapes. As Logan gets ready to leave, he gives a speech that perfectly sums up where his mind is currently at. I used to be just like you two, trying to find my way, thinking I could do it on my own, running around howling in the woods. Then I found some folks who were just like me, who understood, who cared, and all of a sudden I had a place I could call home. Sometimes I forget, it happens. You get too wound up in yourself and you lose track of the fact that when you stop participating, you're just like that tree in the middle of the forest, the one that nobody knows about when it falls. I'm going home now. I hope you two can work it out and have a good life. Couldn't have said it better. So there you go. We have the first 2 comics down in the South African Marvel series. So far, both have been excellent. What the second lacked in story it made up for in action. Seeing Wolverine stabbed in the lungs was a lot. We are definitely heading for an epic showdown between Wolverine and Sabretooth. We have learned Wolverine's healing factor is now working, not great, but good enough. And in the previous issue, his heart clearly healed a bit, and he's well on his way to being the Wolverine of old. Will he be able to keep it up until he faces the greatest showdown of his life with his greatest enemy Sabretooth? We will have to wait and see for Wolverine number 3.